You're listening or watching the 904wed.com podcast. Real weddings is what we are talking about with my lovely co-hosts. That is Ann LaFiles, right on top of Premier Bride of Northeast Florida, the magazine, the expo. You can't miss this stuff. And Amber, our bride we are following. That's Amber Flowers, everyone. She is getting married in April of 2021, which is coming faster and faster with every one of these podcasts. Amber, I know you're excited. You've just come back from Napa. You've been tasting wine. You look relaxed. You look great. So congratulations there. And Ann, you just wrapped up your final wedding expo for the year. That's got to feel pretty good. You squoze 4 wedding expos into a very, very tough and challenging year. I don't know how you did it, but what's the recap at this point? Looking back at this, what do you have to say?
Wow. I mean, I really have to say that the Northeast wedding professionals are the best wedding professionals in the entire country, because I honestly do not know of any other wedding expos that are being hosted anywhere in the USA. I'm pretty confident that I was the first one in July to happen, and I really haven't heard any other chatter about any other ones taking place before the one we had just yesterday, which was September 13th. So I'm going to give credit to the wedding professionals, because honestly, without the vendors, there would be no expo. So if the vendors weren't willing to come out and participate, then we would never have an expo to begin with. So, I mean, all hail to the wedding vendors of Northeast Florida, because they're the ones that made it happen.
They might say the Postal Service delivers in all types of weather, rain, snow, whatever that saying is. But I can tell you this, the wedding vendors of Northeast Florida, they deliver for any type of wedding in any type of pandemic.
Absolutely. And, you know, I'm going to give shout out to the Prime Osborne and the Renaissance, because they let us have it. You know, they were open enough. They worked with us, making sure that we were, you know, compliant with CDC guidelines, making sure that everybody was safe and felt comfortable. And we were able to host 2 big events during a pandemic. So I'm thrilled. Like, I'm blessed. I'm excited. I'm thrilled. And if you want to have a wedding, or you want your wedding guaranteed, come on for a destination wedding to Northeast Florida, because you know what? I got a whole list of a lot of great vendors that will go out of their way to make it happen for you.
That's right. We living proof right here that you can have a wedding in the middle of a pandemic. Hopefully you'll be having your wedding after the pandemic. I can't speak today right now. Wow. Amber, hopefully your wedding will be after this pandemic is officially over. But either way, plans must go on. This wedding must go on. You're really in the middle of what I'm going to call your engagement honeymoon right now, right? You're going from engagement party to engagement party, maybe not an engagement party really in Napa, but still part of the engagement, celebrating this. How was the Napa trip?
Oh, the Napa trip was great. You know, I will say I love my wine. So I got to actually, it's funny because we were on the main road where all these different vineyards are going. Like, I look at them like, oh my gosh, I feel like I have a relationship with you, because I've actually bought so much of that wine in the past, you know, decade or so. And I'm like, oh, so then when you go to the vineyards, I didn't know, like, okay, shelf wine is different from a certain wine that they're making of that year and that age. So the Napa trip was great. It was a great success. We brought back some bottles and drank. My teeth absolutely were purple. But, you know, with mask on, we all know California, okay? Mask on is a huge thing.
Huge. You sleep with your mask on in California right now. Right.
And I'm like, I love you, Florida. I love you so much. Sorry, I'm a Florida girl. And so when I was going there, it's just a little different. It was a great trip, though. I got to witness an engagement. I got to be on the other side.
I've got to ask, you know, was this an official wedding expense? Were you tasting wines for your actual wedding day, or is there not going to be any connection here?
Well, I don't think there's much of a connection. Okay, so I wanted to take pictures. So the connection to the wedding is that we got to take our engagement pictures because they had to be canceled so many times because it was supposed to be in Ohio. That was canceled, rescheduled. It was supposed to be so. Yeah, the expense of it is like we found an awesome photographer out there randomly, and took our
Stop.
engagement.
How do you just find a random photographer? You didn't just find them on the street corner. You must have gone through some process to find them.
Right. So the process. I know I've said this in previous episodes of how important social media and connecting is. I find immediate information out when I hashtag something. So right now, unfortunately, California is going through the fires. We've all heard about it. So I was hashtagging Napa Valley because we were going to go. Unless they canceled our flight, we were going to go. So how I found her was I was hashtagging, and I saw a picture that I loved, and I contacted her. I said, hi, she'd advertised as a photographer. She used that hashtag, that social media platform that we all need to take advantage of because it's free. So she got paid, though, for a great photo shoot. I found her. We met up. We linked up. We started in downtown Napa, and then we worked our way up to the valley and into it, and to vineyards. We asked about permits and this. But the good thing that worked out was I toured the vineyards before, so I knew which ones were, okay, the lighting's this way, the smoke, some of them that were so stunning, but you couldn't see anything because of the smoke. You couldn't really capture. Right. Yeah. So that's how it kind of worked out. And she is, believe it or not, she is new into photography, relatively new. And she just she killed it. So that's how I found her, with social media. I didn't go into reviews or do any of that. I wanted to see live what it looked like, what was going on. You click on recent, and that's how I found her.
I'm not surprised at all by this at all, Amber. But I'm going to ask, are you going to share some of these with us, or are you holding on to these? Is there a surprise element?
So this week, I just got back, but I leave Thursday to Ohio to meet some of Chris's family, and then also to celebrate our engagement party that we had to reschedule. So I am actually going to give them some of the first looks, and they're going to be the one to pick out some of the photos for things that we use.
I love it.
Way to incorporate. Our love is on fire.
Oh,
good one. Good one.
I love that. Fire. What's that other song?
Taking advantage of the scenery in California right now, unfortunately.
Right. Okay. So when we were landing, I don't mean to go too far into this though, but when we were landing, I posted a video, which now the link is up on my Instagram and all my social media. So you get to not only listen to it, but I'm going to send in pictures. So follow both of them. But when we were landing, right, the sky was so orange that it was shining through all the windows of the plane, and somebody behind us said, is this what it's like in hell? And I was like, oh God, not today. I haven't even had wine yet. So it was so orange because we landed into San Francisco and then drove, which was not too far of a drive. And the drive was beautiful. And we only saw one fire on the side of the road with, that was being put out. But anyway, it was orange. I mean, it was only 4:00. And it was almost like it was, when it rains in Florida, and then it has that sunset on it. So it has this very vibrant orange to yellow, almost like amber.
Go figure. Go figure.
Anyway, no, it really did. It was kind of eerie, but it had this weird, it was very beautiful. So that's what we landed into.
Okay.
Well, I'm glad you enjoyed your trip.
We got a warm
I'm glad
welcoming.
We are full of puns today. Full of puns on this episode of the podcast. No doubt about that. So this photographer, you actually had your photographer show you the live previews on her camera, unedited, the raw versions.
Yes. On her, when we were shooting, I actually, it's a different way of shooting now. If you think about it, everything that's COVID, you don't meet face to face. Obviously she's in California. I sent a few ideas to her. Here's my outfits. Here's what I'm looking for. And she already had that mood that we previously talked about in other episodes. I think in the first, maybe the third episode, I was talking about the mood of a photo and how important it is to capture kind of what the mood you are looking for. So she had that. So we communicated back and forth some ideas. Luckily, she has shot in the Napa Valley area, and she gave me a few vineyard ideas. But luckily, I also drank a lot the first 2 days. So I got to tour them, and that's how we kind of went back and forth. She did show me the live pictures. She also just sent them to me yesterday.
Ooh.
I mean, talk about quick. That was in a day.
So, and I've got to ask, for brides and grooms and families that are listening to this, is it considered good or bad etiquette to ask your photographer to show you the unedited, the raw pictures? Like, is this the normal thing? Well, no normal, I know, but is this the acceptable thing to be doing nowadays?
I think everybody wants to kind of see, but I do think, like, for all the fashion shoots that we do, looking at the back of the camera and then actually seeing the edited photos are usually two totally different things. So it's hard to tell. You know what I mean? Like, you're going to see, because, photography is so different now when you shot film versus when you shoot digital. There's so many different things that you can do. So what you see on the back of the camera sometimes, and it's smaller, and you're just like looking at like the whole picture of it. You're not like analyzing it. So when the photos come over edited, that's when you really analyze like what you're looking at. So you have to be a little, you're going to get two different views. Basically is what I'm saying is usually a photographer will kind of show you the back of the camera a little bit because they're like, oh, and then you get excited. It's kind of like the selling point. You know what I mean? So
that is very true.
Excited. And then they're going to wait, and the pictures always edited are going to be a million times better than what's on the back.
So if you love the preview, you're going to love the end result is the lesson here.
I think so, because, sometimes I've seen previews and it looks good on the small screen, but then when you pull it up on the big screen and you start to get technical with it, like, ooh, like my one eye is looking this way and my other eye is looking this way. You know what I mean?
Nothing we can't fix in Photoshop. But Amber, I take it that was your experience having seen both. And for full disclaimer, like we say on a lot of these episodes, Amber does come from a hair and makeup artist industry background. So she has an eye for this. She knows what she's looking at. These are not that raw, really, in Amber's eye. But what was your experience?
Eye, they're not that raw. No, absolutely not.
Well, I will say, it does matter. I think if you guys are taking your first photo shoots or you've never been in front of a camera, professionally and with a photography group or just one photographer, I would ask to see it too, because you want to see, hey, this angle might look good in front of your mirror, but when you look through a photographer's lens, you have to also respect it in a way, stay your distance. And sometimes if you're working with a photographer that they don't really know how to pose you to what you truly like, look at it and it's like, oh, I don't like that angle. And then make that up, tell the photographer that, because sometimes it's your first time and you get intimidated and you're like, okay, but I really like this in front of my floor length mirror. Well, honey, on camera, you might not. So you might like how your pictures are taken down back, lower or higher to make you look longer. So look at the back of that, but don't bother them too much with it.
That's a good point, because the thing is that a really good photographer is going to know how to pose anyone in any shape, style, body type, so that you look flattering on the camera. At least they should. True. You know what I mean? That's the difference between a professional and an amateur. A professional is going to give you guidance and tell you, hey, don't pop your hip. You tuck that hip in and, pull that arm back and, square up to it, because they're going to take a look at, what is going to complement your body style and couple itself. You know what I mean? Especially like it's super hard, especially like if there's like a groom that's 7 feet tall and a bride that's 5 feet tall, it's really difficult. And some photographers don't know how to make that work well. You know what I mean? Like, I've seen it, and then I've seen ones that you would never know, that there was issues going on behind the scenes. So. Right.
And I completely agree with that when you see experienced photographers as opposed to not. Now, the price point, yes, matters, because you'll see when these are something that lasts and you cherish for a lifetime. But everyone is different. So I would also say, this is where I'm challenged, because I've been in not only hair and makeup, wardrobe, all that stuff, but in the wedding business as well. It's challenging, with a photographer. So you really have to do your research on it. Look at your price point, look at your budget, because these are, to me, yes, this is obviously something that you're going to show your children or whomever you want to. It's a coffee table. to me, it's just so important to capture moments. I don't like it very posed. I want something very organic. So I'm doing all my research that I can to find what I'm going to pay for. And no, like, okay, I don't need 12 hours. I personally do not want 12 hours of somebody taking pictures. But that's me. I've been in weddings where I've had a 15-hour photographer. They want, the night before, not 15 hours in one day, but, sometimes they want the engagement party, or not the engagement, I'm so sorry, the rehearsal, in that. So they add 5 hours onto that, being 15 into that 15-hour.
It's like they're almost waking up with you if they're with you for that many hours of the day.
I have seen a photographer that has done the morning after the wedding shoot.
The ultimate boudoir photography right there, folks. The ultimate. The morning after.
She's going to be stuck on my pillowcase like, huh?
Oh my gosh. That's going to be a whole nother episode. A whole nother one.
I have seen those photos across my computer screen. Mm-hmm.
Oh boy.
I mean, it's personal. I mean, everybody's got a different thing. You know what I mean?
Yes, they do. Well, Amber, you have kept things very personal all this time. You've done a lot to interact and keep the wedding experience for your entire family, right, interactive. And like you said, you're allowing your guests in Ohio at your next engagement party coming up to be a part of this and pick out some of the photos. Now, are you bringing the photographer in for the big reveal?
No, and there is photographers that I've met with that do offer that, in their packaging, and it is, but. No, actually, his mother when our first one was set, I had a photographer that I was going to make a surprise, but that is located in Ohio. She is booked for the weekend that it was rescheduled to, so his mom found one, and there is going to be a photographer there to take pictures of everything. But I am not bringing the photographer that I used in. Possibly... She might be in Orlando. Jacksonville. Shoot, I'm in Orlando right now. She might be in St. Augustine. That's where I'm getting married.
That is where you're getting married, in St. Augustine next April. Don't forget that date, right? Or the location.
I keep saying Jacksonville because it's like home, and it's not, to me, it's not too far away. So the photographer in California, she's like, oh, it's St. Augustine or Jacksonville? I kept doing that. And I'm like, okay. It's St. Augustine. It's officially set, but I always think it's our neighbor, so it's like right there.
Right.
Northeast Florida.
It's kind of like San Francisco, Oakland. I mean, it's all part of the same region.
Oh my dear.
But don't let those people ever know that.
We're talking about football, no.
So she might be making it over. I've got to ask, how are you weighing that decision? It's not coming down to cost, I have to assume. There's no way that bringing a photographer from another part of the country is going to be less expensive. Or is that part of the equation? Or is this all about, that she is your look and feel, or he is your look and feel?
Wes, that's actually a really good. And if you want me to be really honest, yeah, it would actually, for some of the quotes that I've recently have had, it's cheaper for me to fly her in and pay for her stay. Yeah. And
you're a wedding expert. Now I know you've got vendors and this market really well. Does that surprise you? Is this normal?
Wedding photography is across the board. I mean, there are people out there that charge what some people would say would be a lot of money, but there are people that gladly pay for it. I mean, it just totally depends on the bride, what she's looking for, the connection that she has with, the photographer, what they're looking for. I mean, there's celebrity photographers that take amazing pictures that charge $50,000 for a wedding, and people will pay for it. So
yeah, but that's to a celebrity.
You're like a celebrity, Amber. You're a little bit of a celebrity.
Well, let's write that check, though. I don't have a celebrity kind of budget.
No. I mean, but I'm just saying that, I know photographers in this market that have charged $50,000 for a wedding. In this market, just people who live in this market. And they've made it off of the photography and off of the photo albums. So
there's a photographer for every budget.
It is a rich price point, And there are
There's a wedding
people
planner
that,
for them, too.
and there are people that are willing to pay for it. You know what I mean? So it just depends. And it really comes down to where everybody values certain things. You know what I mean? Like some people,
Right.
you know, everybody's got a budget, and you carve that budget out for each individual item of your wedding. And sometimes in one aspect, you're going to spend hardly anything on your wedding because it's not that much important to you. And others, you know, whether it be the name brand of the dress, you know, people will spend $20,000 on a wedding dress because there's a name brand behind it. You know what I mean? And it's the same for any other element of your wedding, in my opinion.
Well, speaking of budgets and what people are willing to pay for and not pay for, Amber, you've had some big decisions to make in terms of what you're willing to pay for, want to pay for your bridesmaids, right, at this point. And you're kind of wrapping up that whole bridesmaid inviting part of your wedding planning experience. I think you still have a bridesmaid or two to ask, or are you fully stocked and everyone said yes at this point on the bridesmaid side?
Yeah, actually, we recently just had a party, the bridesmaids party at the house, because some bridesmaids haven't met other bridesmaids, so it was really good to kind of see the energy. So I don't have any more to ask. Just one couldn't make it due to work, so we just, like I said, moved into our new home. We don't have enough beds yet, so one of them actually had to sleep on an air mattress. You think? Like, we're there. No. Or actually, one fell asleep on a raft in the pool. We knew that she couldn't handle past day one at the bachelorette party. See, this was the test. They thought I was just throwing a good cookout and we were having a good time. I'm like, test. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, as far as budget with them, we are now going into dresses. I just picked out the styles. Actually, today I had some come in that I specifically ordered just to see in person before we were going to do a bulk order of anything. The material to me, how it photographs. Velvet photographs amazing, but not everybody's going to go velvet because it's like Florida and it's hot. So polyester kind of has this gray look to it. When the flash is done, this is down to specifics that honestly brides don't think about.
Right.
Only you, Amber. I have never heard another bride critique a dress for the flash.
Okay, let's be honest here. Nothing will photograph better than velvet. Nothing.
Hey, we're giving away tips. Free tips here, y'all. The fabric and the photography and whether there's flash or natural light, it makes a big difference.
Oh my gosh. Like it makes a big, I mean, again, if you're going to hire a photographer, they will make that's up there. They're going to make the big difference in what your pictures look like. Okay. If it's somebody's posed differently, that's something. But your dress colors or your tux, when you see satin, you can tell there's satin here. Like you can tell, what is that called on a men's tux? I can't think right here, the chest part where it folds. Lapel, thank you. So when it's satin, you can obviously tell. When it's velvet, you can obviously tell. There's a shine back to it. So it depends. If you're gonna sit there and wear a tux with the lapel being satin, match it to the girls.
Hey, great advice.
Well, I would say this too. I would say the most important thing though is not the fabric; it's the undergarments on the dress.
Oh my!
Really?
Because you can have some stunning bridesmaids, and you can pick some fabrics that are more forgiving than others, but it all comes down to the undergarment because there is one style of dress which I will not name, but it does not look good on 80% of the people, and for some reason, all the brides think it's the most amazing dress.
I know exactly what dress
put
you're
on
talking.
all their bridesmaids because you can kind of shape it to whatever you want it to be, and it's not pretty on a lot of people.
And we're not advising people to go commando with their bridesmaids dresses.
Okay,
no.
That's a great thing.
Cool breeze comes through.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Oh, listen.
Panty lines, like there's a lot of stuff.
Absolutely. I don't care if you're a size 2 or a size 22. Every single one of you wears Spanx. It is true. So when I used to work on set at photo shoots, these are lanky models, like they don't really have much curve to them. We always put them in Spanx. That's because it hides, it tucks, and your posture is different. It really is. They're not comfortable. Beauty equals pain. So when you walk down there, I'm sorry, be uncomfortable. Go good while you're doing it. It's just the rules. I mean, come on.
Hey, Amber is giving you a free reality check, everyone here, and Ann is not telling her that this is bad advice. This is great advice. I don't wear Spanx myself.
No one's going to be comfortable at Amber's wedding, but damn, the pictures are going to look good.
You're going to remember you were comfortable. You just won't remember feeling it.
You're going to look at those pictures and thank Amber. You're going to say, yes, This is my new profile picture because I've never looked so good before.
Wow. Well, no one can accuse us of not being real here on this podcast. Speaking of real, you've got a very real engagement party coming up. You've delayed this. You're meeting some of your fiance's family for the first time, which, is no secret. What's going on with this? Do you have any part in the planning, or is this all being planned for you and you're just showing up and enjoying yourself, Amber?
So I've never been to the Midwest. It's first time going. His family has a lot of land out there and farms and tractors. So I know how bougie I sound. I actually love that. I love kind of farming, four-wheeling, getting on, putting your hair up in a ponytail. But then I just found out this one thing that it's going to be like 30 degrees. And I was like, oh, yeah.
Well, bonfire. Campfire.
Actually, they have a bonfire planned. 30.
What was that, Paris?
Oh, wait.
I was going to say, what was that Paris Hilton and Nicole Richie show where they do the farming?
Oh, The Simple Life.
It's going to be Amber, The Simple Life. You got to do
The Simple Life. No cow tipping. No cow tipping in the Midwest. All right, Amber. That's not cool. All right.
Oh.
But that's going to be a great time. And as we wrap up today's podcast, we're coming short on time, unfortunately, but there are many more podcasts to go as we creep ever so closer to your wedding that everyone is looking forward to. What is coming up next for you? What's on your mind after you kind of wrap up the engagement season here, if you will?
Well, so I'm going going back to Jacksonville, and I am going to make a visit to Chandler and set up some tables. Like I'm going to can I give this away? The Pompous. That's all I'll give away is going to come in. Some personal items are coming in. So we're going to set up the table and kind of, I'm going to be doing behind the scenes video for everyone to see. And also I'm going to show what I saved on and what I did myself months ahead of time to save as well.
I love it. I appreciate you sharing so much. Not every bride wants to share all this. Not every bride is this much of a planner. Sometimes they have to hire help, and there's nothing wrong with hiring a wedding planner out there.
I love my wedding planners. No. But I also like to be hands-on too.
So this is a great lesson for everyone of how to do that. So we have plenty more coming up on future episodes of the 904wed.com podcast. Amber, Ann, thank you so much for being a part of this today remotely. One of these days we might do all this in person, but Amber's down in Orlando, Ann's in St. Augustine somewhere, right? Yourself and Fruit Cove. Sorry, that's in between Jackson and Augustine, and I'm up here in Jacksonville. So I appreciate you guys being a part of this podcasting experience, and we want you guys to subscribe and follow this wherever you're watching it. Follow us because every week we are adding more and more content out there, and there is plenty more content to come, especially as Amber is going to be teasing us with some previews of what she has coming up for her wedding. So everyone, we will see you on our next podcast. Thank you so much for watching the 904wed.com podcast, brought to you by jackshomes.com and Premier Bride of Northeast Florida. We will catch you on our next episode.